Whether you already love calligraphy as much as we do, or you're a beginner and you're looking to learn, there is a calligraphy book out there for you.
Yes, there are so many books on the market, from specific styles to practice resources to books for kids, as well as our own calligraphy book that we wrote. So let's get started.
One of the first books that this is Jordan speaking, used for learning calligraphy is Mastering Copperplate Calligraphy, a step-by-step manual by Eleanor Winters. And I love this book because it goes into so much detail about all of the specifics for the basic strokes. For example, here's one of the basic strokes. It explains how to make it and shows you what to do and also what not to do. It goes through details like that for all of the letters of the alphabet as well. And I do have some post-it notes in here for my own reference, but I remember reading through this and actually loving how much detail she went into. One of the cons, though, about this book is that there is a lot of text that you do actually have to read, and I do wish there were a few more diagrams in here, but it gives lots of really good examples of how to form all of the letters. And then it also, towards the end, gives some examples of how to actually use copperplate in context for projects like making layouts, doing some envelopes. And then in the very beginning, it does give a brief history of the script, which I really liked about that book too. So I do recommend this book if you are interested in copperplate.
Hey, it's Jillian now, and I'm going to talk about some of the most popular books on Amazon for modern calligraphy and modern lettering. These would be great books if you want to get your feet wet with the hobby or just try different modern styles by different authors. So this is the first one. This is Creative Lettering and Beyond, and this is great because it starts off with some very introductory material on how to use supplies like pen and ink. It gives you some practice exercises. And then there's also lots of really cute modern lettering styles that these authors have come up with. There's practice spots, including towards the back, there's some project ideas and some chalk practice ideas. So it's a really fun practice book for, again, trying some modern creative styles, maybe trying something out new, like if you're a traditional calligrapher and you're trying to get into some more creative crafts, this would be a great book for you to check out. This is the ultimate guide to modern calligraphy and hand lettering for beginners, and it's definitely a beginner-friendly book. It has, again, lots of cute different styles of lettering. So if you're looking to try out different alphabets and practice within the book itself, you can practice and trace here. This gives you some basic ideas of lettering styles and how to write them. Now, the only thing about this book is the paper is pretty thin, but it does give you lots of ideas for different decorations you can add, banners, things like that, and different designs from start to finish. This is the Lettering Workbook for Absolute Beginners, a simple guide to hand lettering and modern calligraphy. This one has some useful information towards the beginning, like this tool reference chart of different tools that you can use for hand lettering, tips and posture recommendations. And then as you go through, you can see the style looks almost like cursive handwriting, and it has tons of room for you to trace and practice your letters. There's also practice words where you can practice connecting your letters, and she has some fun flourishing examples, as well as these alphabets, which are complementary to the hand lettering ones. So these would be great for combining with scripts, and she gives some ways that you can get creative with it too. This next one is Brush Lettering Made Simple by Crystal Elizabeth. We love her. We've been following her for years and years on Instagram. We bought this book back in 2018. It's very high quality. The paper is super thick and it's beautifully designed. Let me just flip through it here so you can see some examples of the pages. So she does an excellent job of teaching her style of lettering. She has like tips on working with numbers for doing different types of projects, flourishing. And it's just a really well-designed book. You can see she has a very unique style. I love her style. It's beautiful. And she shows different ways, like you can do blending, different techniques that you can do with your brush lettering. It's a very long book, too. There's tons of information in here. And this is one of our favorites. Highly recommend this one if you're looking to get into some beautiful brush lettering. All right, and now to round out this category, this is one of the most popular books on Amazon, A Beginner's Guide to Lettering and Modern Calligraphy. Now, probably the main draw of this book is that there's tons of room to practice. It's definitely not a traditional calligraphy style. It's very loose and modern, and pretty much the entire book is just blank for practicing, so there's not as much instruction or information as there are in other books, but if you're looking for something fun to do, like tracing these words or create some projects, this would be a great option for you.
Now we're going to talk about traditional calligraphy. If you're super serious about learning calligraphy, especially for traditional styles, and you want to really learn all the details, these are some excellent books in the traditional style. We already looked through the Copperplate book by Eleanor Winters. The next one I want to show you is this one, Learn Calligraphy by Margaret Shepherd. And this is a fantastic book for learning broad nib calligraphy that looks like this. She goes into so much detail about all these different styles, Roman, Celtic, Gothic, and just like tons of information. Also, something really unique about this one is that you can see it's actually written, like the text itself, all the descriptions are also written in calligraphy, which I thought was really unique. She has tons of diagrams in here. She also has these little drawings. You'll see animals throughout the book, cats, and there's penguins, to illustrate examples. So tons of detail in here. If you're looking to learn broad nib calligraphy, I can't think of a better book than this one. The next book, again, is for Copperplate. This is by Paul Antonio, his manual, Copperplate Script, a yin-yang approach. Now, the thing I love about this book is there are so many pictures in here, so many diagrams. He came up with this whole method of how to create letters using geometry and principles of physics, which, if you're anything like me, I love learning about the math behind calligraphy, so this is great. Something, though, about this book, if you're a beginner, it can be very overwhelming just because there's so much information out here. Paul Antonio is absolutely an expert in his field. So if you're a true beginner, this might be a little bit overwhelming for you, but if you've had some experience and you're just looking to refine and just like learn all the detail you can, then this would be a great book for you. One of the most loved books by traditional calligraphers is this one, the Universal Penman, engraved by George Bickham. And this is a compilation of engravings from throughout history from penmen, and this is excellent if you want to look at some examples, historical examples. Lots of really pretty flourishing. I've marked some of my favorites that I want to try out, like if I see a letter form that I've never seen before, like this P here, I've marked some of them. But this isn't actually an instructional book. This doesn't teach you how to do calligraphy. It does give you lots of great things to look at, though. All of these beautiful flourishes, like these bird flourishes, which brings us to the next example, or the next book that I want to show you, which is this one, Ornate Pictorial Calligraphy, instructions in over 150 examples, and this is by Loofer. Gems of Flourishing. So as you look through here, you're going to see these beautiful flourishes, bird flourishes. These were all created using the strokes of calligraphy, so you have thin and thick strokes, and they are put together in different ways to form these beautiful birds, quills, all these different designs of offhand flourishing. And again, these are just examples. There's a little bit of instruction in the beginning with a couple exercises. There's a few pages. These have actually really helped me in my own flourishing, going through these exercises, but most of what you'll find in here is examples.
If you are enjoying this video, let us know by liking and subscribing to our channel. And if you want to learn more about calligraphy, then we invite you to subscribe to our email newsletter, which is linked in the description.
All right, let's get back into the books.
Let's take a look at some kids' books for kids' hand lettering and calligraphy. We have young kids ourselves, and we love the idea of getting kids into hand lettering and calligraphy. So here are a few examples of some really popular books for that. This is Hand Lettering and Modern Calligraphy for Kids. So of course, this is very kid-friendly. It's very beginner-friendly. So you don't have to be a kid to use this, but if you have a child in your life that you think would enjoy learning more about penmanship and calligraphy, this would be a great one. It has tons of room for practicing and tracing, as well as examples at the end of how to do faux calligraphy. This is Calligraphy for Kids by Eleanor Winters, which you probably remember us talking about her book just a minute ago for learning traditional calligraphy. So she teaches in this kid-friendly book how to do different styles of traditional calligraphy, starting with the basics of getting to know your pen, doing some warm-ups that can end up looking like really cool shapes, and then learning all the rules of calligraphy. I love how she points out different things of right and wrong. Again, it's very kid-friendly, which also could be great if you're not a kid because it's very simple and easy to follow. Another great thing about this book is she teaches you how to do some projects at the end, which is a great way to apply what you learned right away. And these last two are pretty similar to each other. This is the Beginner Calligraphy Workbook for Kids. specifically recommended for ages 8 to 12, and then this is Modern Calligraphy and Hand Lettering for Kids Beginner's Guide. So both of these books have pretty similar structures where we have some introductory material showing how to form the letters and then tons of room to practice your letters and trace some words. So there's a look at that one, and again, this one has some introductory materials about supplies and then some different lettering styles. Oh, this one also has some cool projects at the end. And of course, we couldn't have a book review video without mentioning our own book. This is a book that we wrote a few years ago called Lettering for Planners, a step-by-step guide to hand lettering and modern calligraphy for bullet journals and beyond. So we designed this specifically for people who use planners or bullet journals. You'll recognize the dot pages. But in this book, we have lots of detailed information, and we start with the basics of creating letters and some do's and don'ts. And then we go into creating faux calligraphy. We have tons of tips for connecting words or connecting letters to make words. We have some complementary lettering styles. We go into experimenting with style. So we tried to make this sort of an in-between of having lots of details, lots of instructions, but also making it fun and beginner friendly. Towards the end, we have different ways that you can vary your style and tons of word examples that would be perfect for if you use a bullet journal.
So let us know in the comments which of these books is your favorite. Have you read any of them, or are there any books that we're missing on our list? Tell us below in the comments.
If you'd like to expand on your calligraphy education, we do teach online courses and we would love to have you as a student. We also have tons of free resources available on our website that we'd love for you to enjoy.
Yeah, so check the description below for some links to some relevant resources, and thanks again for watching.